Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome to the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is February the 1st, January the 32nd, really, for us. We're recording on January the 31st. You're listening to it on January the 32nd. We'll try to do our best to keep the days lined up, but keep that in mind when you're listening to the show. If we're talking about today or tomorrow, you'll not be as confused as probably we will be. But we've got a great show for you tonight because Auburn has a new defensive coordinator. We've got a bunch of questions from the corner. We're going to get right to it. Help me address all the comments, answer all the questions, Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston. How about you, fellas?
How about you?
How about you, big dog?
Hey, how about you, big dog? Hey, you know what? I forgot to send this, man. I got something for you.
What you got?
I got something for you.
Okay. Ooh. Look at that.
Got something for you.
Nice.
Look at that rack.
I've been after him all year long.
Is that you or Brooks that got that one?
No, that was me, man. Oh, long story, but I took Brooks and my dad last week, the end of it, and it was full moon. It was the Buck were there the day before Brooks got in there, and the day after we left, and I was like, I'm going back because they were going crazy right after we left, and I wasn't down there 2 hours. Knocked him down and came on back. But so good times.
Very nice.
All right, we're going to get to the questions from the corner. We've got a lot to talk about. Auburn's defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, has been named, and we will, I'm sure, to get a lot of questions about him. We'll talk about his recruiting prowess, some of the things he's done in the past. But before we do, we want to talk about our sponsor, Mr. HelloFresh. I ate some HelloFresh tonight. I had the taco. I had the Tex-Mex beef taco pies tonight. Kids loved it. We love HelloFresh. You're asking, what is HelloFresh? Well, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Not. What's that? HelloFresh. Skip the grocery stores, big dog. Just order HelloFresh. Home-cooked meals made easy, fun, and affordable. Whether you got a resolution to save money, eat better, or stress less, HelloFresh is here to help you do all three. Say hello to your most delicious year yet. Go ahead and get in with fresh ingredients. And I'm telling you, they pack it up, dude. Freezer boxes, freezer packets, send it right to your door. Each Hello box is packaged with farm fresh ingredients. Everything arrives pre-portioned. All you got to do is follow the instructions, and you got a damn good home-cooked meal. Like I said, Cole's a big fan. Jhead's a big fan. Even the kids, dude. The kids love it. We love some HelloFresh at our home. So go to HelloFresh.com/AuburnLiveFree and use the code AuburnLiveFree. One word, all lowercase, Auburn Live Free. You get free breakfast for life, son. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/Auburn Live Free with the code Auburn Live Free. All right, folks, let's turn the page. Let's turn the page as Auburn has on their defensive side of the football. DJ Durkin on what's today? Wednesday/Thursday was named. Was it Monday or was it yesterday?
Monday night.
Monday
Yeah,
night.
Monday
Okay.
night. Yep.
New defensive coordinator. I tell you what, let's go real quick overall impressions on him, and then we'll get to the questions. Cole, how about you? Lead us off, big dog.
Yeah, man. I think that was probably the one that needed to be made, in my opinion, because, well, number one, I don't know everything about Chris Kiffin, maybe like I should. But I do know that DJ Durkin was a head coach at one time. I know he's been all around the SEC, Florida, Texas A&M, Ole Miss. So I just think that experience, and I think that head coach experience is really important for the dynamic of the staff you have right now. I think you need sort of a head coach defensive mind over there on that side of the ball with what Breeze is. So I like that part. I like his personnel too, but look, I mean, personnel is dictated by what you got, right?
Sure.
You can only do what you got, and I think they're going to hit the ground running, try to get a few more bodies in there, a few more guys that can help, some quality depth, and try to get it back to what he was doing at Texas A&M. I would think.
Jhead, you like DJ Durkin?
I do. I think it's a good hire. I mean, we're talking on the field, right? I think it's a very good on the field hire. You're talking about a veteran front seven coach. And we've talked about the composition of this roster with having Charles Kelly, Wes McGriff. Both guys have been coordinators in their own career.
Man.
that are good defensive coaches in their own right, coordinating the back end. You needed, like Cole talked about, a head coach of a defense that could walk in and have that coordinator experience in the front seven. You're right. He's done a variety of different things in his career. He's been odd front. He's been even. He's done different things in the back end. Lately, it seems like he's run a lot of match pattern coverage, whether it's match 1, match 3 with a single high look. A lot of different things that he's done back there. And I'm sure the great thing is that a lot of these guys talk the same language. So the coverages that they're running in the back end, that all came out of the Saban tree. Durkin cut his teeth really well underneath Will Muschamp, and has kind of carried that same defense all the way through with a few minor modifications, but the coverages have been the same. Charles Kelly obviously coached with Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban himself, so very familiar with that system. Wes McGriff coached with Kevin Steele, who ran a lot of those same coverages on the back end. So you have 3 guys that all truly, really know each other, know what they're talking about. And obviously, I think a lot of Jeremy Garrett and Josh Aldridge as well. Those are 2 very sharp, young, bright minds. But DJ Durkin kind of ties all that together. He can be that head coach on the defense. Hugh Freeze can concentrate more on the offense, on play calling, if that's what he's going to do, or just helping out Derek Nix. I'm not exactly sure how he plans to handle that. I know he's kind of gone back and forth somewhat in the media this week, but I do think it allows him to be more involved on that side of the ball, whatever he chooses to do. And then you're also adding, this is not a knock, but I think DJ Durkin is a better complementary recruiter than Ron Roberts.
Oh, for sure.
At this point, I think he is more in the vein of what Kevin Steele was as a defensive coordinator recruiter versus where Roberts was a little bit more hands-off. I think he did a lot of scout and eval work. I don't know how much work he was putting in individually with the kids. So I think DJ Durkin's going to be a personality that's going to mesh really well on the recruiting trail from that standpoint and just be a plus to the staff.
Completely agree. I kind of measure coaches because of what I do. Is it an upgrade in recruiting? Absolutely. I do think so. Not saying Ron Roberts was bad because Jamonte Waller mentioned him a lot. Jeff Phillips mentioned him a lot. So he made some impacts in this 2024 class.
Yes.
But I do think DJ Durkin, with the experience in the SEC and the guys that he knows, I think he's going to be an upgrade. I think the experience they had, like you said, you're losing Zach Etheridge, who had 5 years of experience, and you're adding Charles Kelly and DJ Durkin, and you're getting back Wes McGriff. That's big, man. That's a lot of talented minds on that side of the football. Especially, hey, let's don't forget about Josh Aldridge. I think he's a superstar. I think Jeremy Garrett's a superstar. I really do.
I agree.
So fantastic. I love the defensive staff. I think it's been upgraded and tremendously. I think Auburn's going to benefit it for as long as they'll stay together. Really like it. Really like the recruiting prowess of all those guys. I think it's going to pay off in the long run on the field and in the living rooms. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest in that from our subscribers at Auburn Live on 3. I was going to tell you, if you haven't already, go get signed up. I think we've still got the $1 deal going, but for YouTube people, it's $1 for 2 months. Use that promo code AU1, capital A, capital U1, 2 months for $1. Because recruiting is about to be picking up. Kind of had a lull in recruiting, and it'll kind of go that way. But once spring practice starts back up, there's going to be a lot more visits. I think Saturday Auburn's expecting several guys to come in for visits. Chris Ewald, the 4-star defensive back from Florida, was on campus Wednesday. He was attending the basketball game. So they're going to be trickling in and out throughout the spring, but it's going to start. You're going to see an uptick in spring visits. We've already seen a lot of offers going out. So a lot going on. This is kind of the slow rise in recruiting, getting there. All right, let's get right to the questions from the corner. If you're not familiar with it, all our subscribers at the corner, Auburn Live message board, the fantastic message board, by the way. Had to do some cleaning, but man, after you sift through those and you get it cleaned out a little bit, man, it's fun. I love it. I love the corner, the message board. So here we go. Mac 5 is going to get us started. Best and worst position groups on next year's roster. This is a recruiting show, but as I said, it's kind of a lull in recruiting. We'll take anything at this point. All right, Mac 5. Yeah. So best and worst position groups on next year's roster. I love this because we know what it's going to be like, especially covering recruiting as well as we do. We know the upgrades that people are getting, the new additions, the transfers. So, but let's see. How about best and worst on offense, best and worst on defense?
Best on offense, I'm going to go running back room, Steele. Though I think you could argue the offensive line room.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'd go with running back too, though, for best.
Would you throw tight end in the conversation?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Because, I mean, that's deep.
I think running back, well, I mean, look, you kind of know what you got with tight ends. Rivaldo Fairweather takes that room to a whole nother level, obviously. But the backs, boy, another year of Jarquez Hunter. And then with everything behind him and what we think Jeremiah Cobb is on the way to being pretty strong.
What Damari Alston looked like.
And Damari Alston.
Yeah, against Alabama last year. I mean, those are three guys. I don't think you're missing much by rotating those guys out and the ability to keep them fresh. I just feel like top to bottom, that's your most talented room. But I do like what's in the tight end room. I think Luke Deal is very underrated, specifically as a blocker. He does not get enough credit, except for in Cole's breakdowns. As far as that goes, man, he gets a lot of love there. But
I'm not missing that. If you are an unheralded blocker, you're getting love in my breakdowns.
And Brandon Frazier actually took his game to a different level, I think, this past year. So he showed some. And, I wasn't unimpressed with the young man from Nebraska. I'm struggling for Michael Riley Ducker. I thought he had some moments this time last year, but still for me, it's the running back room. But I think the offensive line room's improved as well. I think adding that piece and some of the freshmen improved the overall talent level.
Anybody want to argue quarterback's the worst on that side of the ball?
No.
Only because of lack of experience, lack of production. I think the talent's there. I just don't see it. If you got a best and worst real quick on defense, the defensive line, the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go linebacker room best now for me.
I agree. Linebacker best, D-line worst.
Okay. I
think you can actually count the D-line and edge maybe more together. I don't know. I just don't know how Durkin wants to do that yet. We'll have to see. That's going to be when we get to spring practice, see how they do that.
Maybe I'll get an interview with him before or shortly thereafter the start of spring and kind of pick his brain a little bit about his scheme. Let's see. NB Weagle, predict one player on each side of the ball who will take a leap during spring and fall camp like Eugene Asante did last season.
Ooh.
Player on each side of the ball, offense and defense, who's going to take a leap.
If I knew that, I might have to be headed to Vegas. I promise you that.
Maybe somebody to keep an eye on. Maybe somebody you're watching who could take that leap.
Okay.
Maybe a young guy, maybe on defense like Kayan Lee or Keldrick Falk.
On offense, I'm going to go Caleb Burton. I think he could take a jump this year. He's a guy that I thought started to kind of come on a little bit last year. Found some chemistry with Peyton Thorne there towards the end of the season. I'll be interested to see if that carries forward because I do think he could be the starter in the slot this year.
I would not argue that.
Could be the starter in the slot. So I would be interested to see what happens there. So him on offense, what do you guys think?
I got two names in my mind. They're both offensive linemen.
Okay.
The number one, I think he's going to take my spot is Jhead Muskrat.
Okay.
I think he's sort of your sixth man. These days, I see a lot of offensive lines rotating. That used to be not a thing. Now it's really a thing in college football. It's not just an Auburn thing. It's happening a lot at a lot of places where they rotate guys and they have a sixth man. Like, hey, this is the guy that comes in and maybe plays guard, maybe plays tackle, helps you out, keeps everybody rested. I think Jhead Muskrat might be that guy. And he might start. You never know. But the other one's TJ Johnson because I just hear so much about him. I'm ready to see what he looks like in the spring.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking of me personally, I was thinking, a starter who was kind of average this year, but maybe steps up. But all those guys, I was thinking, that's why I was thinking maybe Keldrick Falk comes out a little bit. Not that he had a poor season, but maybe he steps up into that role earlier than maybe some people thought.
I'm going to give you one. I'm going to go Gage Keys. I think he may be better than what some think.
Oh, the transfer?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I think he might be better than some think. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but is he a guy that can maybe get 3 sacks for you this year and have 30 tackles? I think that's a possibility. I think that's within his wheelhouse. So
I got one for you.
Okay.
Peyton Thorne. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey,
Easy.
look, dude, look. All right.
Hey, you leave the Peyton Thorne truth into me, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
If-
I'm the guy.
No.
Last year, if he throws for 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, that's a massive jump, man.
Yeah.
Did he throw for 1,000 yards?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
1,300, I think.
1,300.
Wow.
The two on defense. Again, I'm between
That's
two.
100 yards a game.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't good.
I'm sorry, Peyton. I know it's not all your fault, big
Look,
dog.
it may be 1,600. Let me look. Man, hold on.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Hey, somebody at that position is going to have to take a leap. If Auburn's going to have any type of success, somebody at that position is going to have to take a leap.
It's not a crazy thing to say that position will take a leap because it has to, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, with the talent at wide receiver, the tight ends, the running back game, the running game, the offensive line, that quarterback position should be a little bit easier to find some success in 2024.
Yeah, I did it. It was 17-55, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Okay. All right. We'll see. That's going to be fun to watch. I mean, fun to watch, fun to follow, and see where things go before September rolls around. Nova Tiger 256. Will Durkin be a plus recruiter for Auburn? Okay. And if so, where will we see that impact both from a geographic footprint as well as from a position standpoint? Will he be a plus recruiter for? I think he's an upgraded recruiter. And listen, like we talked about earlier, I don't think Ron Roberts was a nobody when it comes to recruiting. And I think Durkin's going to take it up a level when it comes to the recruiting. Geographic footprint, I don't know if maybe he goes west of the Mississippi.
I think he's got good contacts in Florida, from the best of my understanding. Good contacts in Texas after being out there for 2 years. Those are probably two states that you'll see him get involved in, if I had to guess, from an evaluation standpoint. And then obviously coordinators are involved in every eval that goes on for every kid. They have to sign off before that kid's going to be offered. So I don't know. Cole talked about it when we were talking about last week, Charles Kelly potentially being the defensive coordinator. Do you really want to take a guy that's got as many contacts as Charles Kelly does off the road, where he is just invaluable in high schools throughout the state of Alabama and in the state of Georgia? I don't know that DJ will be used that same way. And Cole, maybe you can talk more about this, but I do think he will get out. I do think he'll do some evaluation work. I don't think he's going to be a grinded out guy on the road recruiting, though. I just don't think the coordinator.
I hear you
that way.
Yeah, coordinators are not really. That's not exactly their role. I mean, your position coaches are usually the guy. When you hear a recruit say, "Oh, Auburn's like home," or it feels like family, a lot of times it's because of what the position coaches are doing. The head coach, the coordinators are more ball, man. I mean, that is what they do. They're more about ball, and when they recruit, it's more of a, "Hey, this is my scheme. This is where you fit." That's the big thing.
Do y'all remember E. Moss's question from the call-in show on Sunday and the 5 things that we were ranking? He didn't mention coordinator, and neither one of us talked about the coordinator because it's just not the big of a deal when it comes to recruiting. It's going to be the head coach, the position coach, the scheme maybe will be where the defensive coordinator, the on-campus visits, the in-home visits when you're talking scheme. But when it comes to like personality and relationships, that's kind of a bonus when it comes to coordinator. They're not all wrapped up in there. That's going to be your position coach. Your relationship with the position coach, and of course, Hugh Freeze is heavily involved there. So, but I still think, I honestly, an overall upgrade from Ron Roberts. And again, Ron Roberts was no slouch.
Yeah,
no.
That's a good question. All right, let's see. Question 4, Wardam 23. This is maybe a Jeremiah Cobb fan, or maybe he graduated in 2023, or maybe he's 23 years old. Maybe he likes 23-year-olds.
Maybe he's a Michael Jordan guy.
Oh,
how about you?
How about you, big dog? How far out are we from the next 2025 commitment? It's a good question, Cole. I don't think it's far.
It's kind of unknown, but I am thinking this last weekend before the dead period, which is basically the whole month of February. They're going to have another visit weekend. I know there's a couple guys there that are on the fringe that we've talked about a bunch of times that are probably going to be there. We don't have everybody confirmed yet, and may not. They may just show up. That's just how these kind of things go sometimes. Tavares Dice is one that I have a prediction into Auburn. I know he's told me before in person, look, I want to get my family here. That's going to be a big deal. I think if he comes down this weekend and is able to bring some family, I'd say watch out.
Okay.
I got one. I really think keep your eyes peeled on Anquan Fegans. I think something could happen with that one sometime month of February-ish.
I have a little inkling about that as well, Jhead. I did a intel and eval on him Wednesday just because I felt like, I've been hearing some things that Auburn's maybe in that one a little bit more than people may think. I use the phrase dark horse, maybe a dark horse in this recruitment.
Fegans is a 4-star defensive back from Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. Former teammate of,
Caleb Harris.
Caleb Harris.
There you go.
Let me tell you something. Anquan Fegans is legit, guys. I'm very impressed with him.
Okay.
Very impressed.
Keeping an eye on him. But I don't think – I would be surprised if Auburn didn't have another one in the next 2 weeks.
I think I would too. I think next 2 weeks is probably a good time for him.
Being conservative there. Let's see. Welders AU, size of the 2025 class, 25.5. Are we taking over or under? When people ask this question, I always think they're and assume they're talking about high school JUCO, like transfer portal. You can't predict that.
No.
But as far as 25.5 high school junior college, I'd probably take the under. I just don't see them signing 26 high school JUCO guys. So I would say, the easy guess here every year is 22 to 25.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think we've got 23 seniors, 24 seniors coming class. So it's a big departing class. My guess is they're going to try to take it. Every one of those slots they're going to try to take with high school kids if they possibly can, or junior college prospects, and then let their attrition be whatever falls out to the transfer portal. They're replacing it with a premier piece. That would be, I think, ideal for how Hugh Freeze wants to handle it. I heard an interview with him today talking about how he wants to continue to organically grow this roster through the high school ranks. So between 20 to 24 prospects, I'm with you, Jeffrey. I think they're going to try to take high school, junior college, and then they'll supplement from there in the transfer portal.
I do think that sorry, Jeffrey.
No, go ahead.
The number of how many they take high school JUCO is going to slowly rise, if they're able to have some longevity at Auburn, because that's the plan. You want to build from high school, build from JUCO, whatever, instead of the transfer portal. So is this the year that number takes a couple, spots up? Seems like it could be. Maybe 23, 24.
Kind of wean off that transfer portal. Ideally, I would think your transfer portal class every year should be 5 to 7.
Yeah. I think that's what they'd like to have it at, contingent on what your attrition is. So that's the one thing that you can't.
There you go.
Transfer portal numbers. If I lose, more than I projected to take in my high school class, well, now I got to go to the portal. What other option do I have at this point?
I'd love to know the percentage, Jhead, of guys that we assume Auburn did not want to lose to the transfer portal, and versus the percentage of guys that maybe they were okay that they went on.
I'd say that percentage is pretty low, man. I'm going to be honest with you.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
I've combed back through those numbers a couple times. Probably, if they could have kept him, Javarius Johnson probably would have liked to have had him back.
Sure.
Tyler Fromm probably would have liked to have him for another year, though they understood.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe
Tyler Fromm. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
Cam Riley probably didn't necessarily want to lose him.
Yeah, I think you probably wouldn't have minded keeping him with the numbers situation you got, him being experienced.
But anybody else? Is there anybody else that got into the transfer portal that you're kind of like?
In years past, JJ Pegues, I'm sure they didn't want to lose him.
years past, a ton in the Harsin era.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hudson,
Kobe
Lee
Hudson, Lee Hunter, didn't want to lose J.J. Pegues or the other kid that transferred to Ole Miss, LT. Yep.
Of course, this is us assuming that they didn't want to lose those guys.
I would,
just because they were damn good football players, right?
Yeah.
They went on to become.
Yeah.
If they're contributing, it seems they are.
Yeah, I mean, if Auburn could get Lee Hunter back tomorrow, I guarantee Hugh Fraser would make that deal in a heartbeat.
Where did he go?
UCF.
UCF. Yeah. What if you've got the defensive line you have right now, but kept J.J. Pegues and Lee Hunter?
How
huge difference?
Much better, even if it's just on paper. Would that defensive line look with those two guys?
Because Hunter had a monster year at the nose down in UCF. I think he was 38 plus tackles and 5 sacks or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, he was my favorite recruit in that class.
Jay Hardy. They went to Liberty.
That's right.
You'd still have him.
Yeah, Rodney ran him off, man.
He was a Tennessee boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yep. Seemed like did he flip from Tennessee?
So
he was close.
He signed with us secretly, remember? And then Jeremy Pruitt and them tried to recruit him at the basketball game. He ran away from him because he couldn't talk to him. And then you broke the scoop later on, like, hey guys, he's committed.
Yeah. I remember that.
Let's see. Cameron _13. Do we think Dylan Gentry could see some playing time on the field this season? Absolutely not.
He'd be the first walk-on to ever do it as a freshman that I know of.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I gotta tell y'all something after we get off on that note.
JSAP 12 wants to know latest on portal D lineman and which position group do you think will have the biggest improvement in a Durkin-led defense? Well, I guess one thing newsworthy that we haven't mentioned yet is Demetri Nicholas has been confirmed that he will not sign with Auburn, and that's Auburn's doing, by the way. They want a more experienced guy for that spot. They don't need a true freshman developmental guy for that spot. So they're going to they have cut ties with Demetri Nicholas and going to go for that spring portal window. Cole has been talking about, as many as 3 or 4 more defensive linemen. I believe you said, Cole. Got to have some dudes on there.
Which when I first presented that number, everybody was like, "Oh man, there's a lot of other places that need." Guys, I'm just telling you, man, you got to have more. And it's not a knock at Jason Jones. It's not a knock at the guys you have. They just ain't enough. They can't do it by themselves. You don't want Jason Jones playing, 75 snaps a game. That can't work. They did that one year. It was Daquan Newkirk and Tyrone Truesdale. We're playing like 70 snaps a game.
Daquan and Tyrone. Cole's been hanging around us too long, ain't he, Jhead?
Did I say Tyrone?
Try wrong.
It's because the last name Truesdale, it got me all backwards.
I
mean, do y'all remember that year? Those two guys were the two interior D linemen. 80 snaps a game at least, 70.
Right. No, you want those numbers at about 30 to 35. You know what I mean? A game, especially with the fact that I think Marcus was having to play upwards of 50 snaps this year.
It was ridiculous for him.
Yeah, he's a smaller guy, a little more active, a guy that can slip blocks and things. He probably is okay playing that many snaps. Jason Jones, some of these inside guys, they're bigger. You want them to be fresh all the time. Absolutely.
So, like you said, you want to do load management. That's the thing. That's what a lot of coaches call it now. And throw a lot of bodies at it, especially when you don't have superstars that you can, use like workhorses. You've got to have bodies to be able to roll through there to keep guys fresh. So I'm with you. You're looking probably at a minimum 2 DL, 1 edge. If you could get another edge or another DL, you'd take it. It just all depends on what's available in the portal, because Cole's talked about it. Jeffrey's talked about it. I think I mentioned on the board, this staff will not just take a guy to take a guy. They take guys that they believe in. So can they find 3 defensive linemen they believe in and land all of them? I don't know. I think they can do 2 for sure. I think they can find 2. I think they can find an edge. Anything beyond that to me is, that's just gravy. If they can get it, I'm sure they'll take it. It's just can they find it, and then can they land it? And that's the tough part of it in the transfer portal, because you're fighting a lot of different teams for those players.
I think they're becoming a little bit more stingy with their spots as we go on too. Nothing against Shane Hooks. He did really well at Jackson State at the time. Ole Miss wanted him. It's not like he was not a good portal pickup. I mean, there was some potential there. It just wasn't a great fit for whatever reason. He didn't have a huge impact at Auburn. Jair Shorter, he was leading the country in yards per catch. So sometimes at the end there, those were some guys that were there, and they went and got them and filled the rest of the roster spots. Maybe they don't do that now. It's a trial and error kind of thing.
And you know what? If I'm not mistaken, Shane Hooks, the first game or two was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he flashed some potential. He just it's kind of like you may want to jump on Shane Hooks a lot or whatever, but again, the entire operation of the offense was not good. So to blame him for that, or to blame Peyton Thorne 100%, like it's his fault, nothing else. I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in doing that to Shane Hooks. I don't believe in doing that to you know what I mean? Like the whole operation has to get better for everybody to perform better.
Sure. It's hard to have any success for any player on that if the unit is so incohesive as that unit was.
But just the passing game. Passing game was just awful.
It was. There's no sugarcoating. It was terrible. It was awful. Let's see. Tiger attack. Are we in the market for 2 running backs? Would you say we still lead for Henderson and is Deere our clear number 2 choice? Cole, you're shaking your head. You seem pretty adamant. 2 running backs.
Yeah.
Definitely 2 running backs. I'm not sold we're in the lead for Alvin at this point. I'm not saying that we don't land him in the end, but I'm not sold we're on the lead. Or sold we're in the lead. Excuse me.
I don't think I am either. I still, though, feel like he's Auburn's to lose in the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think Auburn's in the lead right now, but I think he's Auburn's to lose. I think Auburn has, they're going to make the final push there and see if they can get him. And actually, with a Kylan Deere, or however you say his name, AK, he goes by AK.
Okay.
That guy, I think, is really high on Auburn.
And I think Auburn's really high on him.
That's what I was going to say. I'm not so sure Alvin's the number 1 running back.
I completely agree. I think Deere's number 1.
I tend to believe that he is. Now, I know what they told Alvin. I saw, his interview with you guys and what he said, but we all know what recruiting pitches are like. Yeah. So, I mean, let's be honest.
Everybody's their number 1 on the board.
Yeah, right. But I do believe that Deere has moved up the board significantly.
But we've seen Derek Nix by his school, the last twice. 2 weeks? Yeah, the last 2 weeks, Derek Nix has been there. And I think Hugh Freeze was there last week.
And I talked to Deere on the phone. I asked him, where does Auburn stand with you? His answer was, I'm not going to tell you where, but just know. Just know. And that's how he left it. He left
what? Those are the most genuine type answers.
Yeah, they really are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And good for the kid for being honest about it. Like, hey, man, I can't tell you where they are, but they're up there.
Just know. Yeah. Trust me. It's basically what he's saying. Let's see here. Logan W. Adams. Logan Wadams coming in here. Where things stand now, who do you want to see? I don't want to see anybody. I don't care. But who would you like to see if you were an Auburn fan starting at quarterback in 2024, and explain why?
I know the popular answer here is going to be Walker White. Maybe not with us, but that's the answer a lot of people are going to say. He's the exciting option right now. I get that. But I honestly believe if Walker White is your starting quarterback next year early, there's always a chance he could end up being your guy as the season drags on. But if he's the starting quarterback early, I think that's bad for Auburn. And it ain't against Walker.
I think they're 6-6 at best. If Walker White's the starting quarterback, I don't know. I want whoever's the best quarterback, like whoever performs the best in all practice. That's who I want to be the starting quarterback.
I was going to say I haven't seen enough of anybody else to make a decent opinion, to form a decent opinion. I saw Hank Brown, I saw Holden. I've seen Walker's highlights and his All-American performances. I've seen 13 games of Peyton Thorne. I don't know. Trust me, they know a lot more about it than I do. And I think it was Tubbs who said, for every true freshman you're starting, that's at least a loss. So if you're starting, two true freshmen at wide receiver, a true freshman at quarterback, a true freshman at defensive backfield, however many. Do you remember that, Jhead? I think it was Tubbs who said that. For every true freshman you start, you can put that as an L. One game.
It was actually, he had just signed like a massive junior college class, and people were asking him why so many JUCOs, and that was his response.
And he was right.
He is right, because there's a certain level of maturity that you go through by just having the experience of playing ball against other opponents that are the same caliber as you. Most of these kids in high school are the most dominant athlete on the field when they step foot on. Now you're walking into an arena where you're no longer the most dominant athlete. You're on a field with a whole bunch of alpha dogs, okay? And you're just another guy trying to separate yourself. That is an extremely tough position to be in as a freshman quarterback. I mean, look, we just talked about name the number of starting freshman quarterbacks.
And we forgot Stan White, by the way.
Stan was a redshirt freshman.
Okay.
And I wanted to jump into the comments because I saw that one come in. Stan and Jason were both redshirt freshmen starting quarterbacks.
Oh, great job. That makes us look. Makes us look. We knew that, guys. We knew that.
Yeah. I didn't even say
didn't know that. But Stan was a redshirt freshman, but still, I mean, a 4-year starter at Auburn. Damn good.
But Logan, I mean, I don't think any of the three of us have a preference on who it is. It just needs to be the guy who can help you win the most. That's what that's who the coaches are going to pick. And right now, my arrow's leaning towards Thorne, just because of what little we know about everyone else. And that's really
I would default to Peyton Thorne. Yeah, I would default to Thorne. That's all I know. Right now.
Thorne was able to win you 6 games. Not all by himself. Robbie Ashford had a hand in that too when he played quarterback. And dang near almost beat Bama in Georgia. So there's something there. I think there is. I've heard a coach say this to me before. Hey, it's not your fault we lost the game. Now, you could have won it for us. But it's not your fault.
Well said. Well said.
So he's somewhere in the middle right there where, hey, it's not exactly you that's bringing us down, but, hey, there was a chance there that you could have won it for us. And I think that's where he's at right now. He needs to take the step.
Which is why we don't consider him a game changer.
No.
So that's the difference between a game manager and a game changer. And at best, Peyton Thorne in 2023, at best, was a game manager. And that's at best. That was the Alabama and the Georgias. He wasn't making he made plays, but it was I don't think he was the sole difference. He wasn't the game changer. That Auburn's defense made plays. The running game made plays. So
yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm defaulting to Peyton Thorne until I can see more of somebody else.
And I think Peyton Thorne probably has the highest floor of that room as well. If we're being honest, he may not have the highest ceiling, but he's got the highest floor.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
You feel comfortable probably knowing Peyton Thorne's going to go out there and get you 7 wins, maybe 8 wins in the regular season, and that's right in the realm of where they want to be. 8-5, 9-4, something like that. That's where, I think that's a medium of success that they think is tangible. Add another good recruiting class to that, and now you're cooking with grease going into that 2025 season. Like Jeffrey talked about, you're competing for the playoff. Yep. That's where you really want to be.
Yep. Augustus McCrae. I'm glad I ain't scared to be lazy.
Ooh, one of my favorite movies of all time.
It is my favorite movie. And I can almost quote that movie from the beginning. And people go, it's a TV series. It ain't a TV series. It's a long movie.
There you go.
Oh, greatest movie ever. Cole, have you seen
Lonesome Dove?
Have you?
I have.
Laura Darling. Let's see. What are your top 5 prospects you want to see Auburn land in the 2025 class?
Ooh.
Start with Michael DeBose. I want an offensive guy.
Yeah. I want Eric Winters.
Okay.
I need a playmaking linebacker.
Name offered. Maybe.
I want Fegans.
Yeah, okay. I want Fegans.
Really? Over offered. I mean, y'all know more about him than I do as far as playing. Y'all take if you only take one.
One's a corner, one's a safety.
Okay.
I don't know. I might take both of them if I were to sit down and think about it. But Fegans is a game-changing safety to me. And I think Naeem Alford has that ability too, but I think Fegans is ready to roll when he gets to college.
I want Caleb Cunningham.
Oh,
That's a good one.
keep that receiver
Yeah,
stocked. Keep that receiver room stocked with 5-star talent.
absolutely. Roll those big bodies through there, man. I don't want to see a dip in talent. And then probably a running back because we didn't take one this past year. You got to have it. So I'm going to go with Deere. He'd be number 5 for me.
I think you're in dire need of a good edge, so I'll go Zion Grady.
And the only reason I didn't say a defensive lineman because you've already got 4 in the class.
You do, but you don't have an edge right now, and I think Demonte Waller can contribute and be good in year one, but it's just him and McLeod that we know of, really.
I'm interested to see how Durkin sees J.J. Falk. Does he see him as an edge or does he see him as an inside linebacker? And that was the only other reason why I didn't lean edge because you got him in the class. True. And I know that Aldridge sees him as an inside linebacker. I think we're all I think that's the way it's projected right now. But how does the DC see him?
Andrew Maddox.
Ooh,
yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a premier name.
By the way, I'm interested to see what Durkin views Joe Phillips as.
Me too.
That's an interesting.
I can see him playing either one.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Give me a big dog offensive lineman. Give me a big dog defensive lineman, and then y'all can pick the rest. I don't care.
Derek Smith.
DB. Derek Smith. There you go.
Yeah.
Derek Smith. Anquan Figgins' name offered. Mike. Who else? You say Eric Winters.
Yes.
Caleb Cunningham. Find you a quarterback somewhere.
Yep.
Let's see. Hugh Freeze's main board, MB. I guess. I don't know. Either way, how likely are we to get Caleb Cunningham? Speaking of the devil, Dalen Upshaw or Derek Smith. Didn't mention Dalen Upshaw. He picked up an offer from Georgia, I believe.
Well, Dalen Upshaw really, his stock is up big time right now.
He's visiting Alabama this weekend. He just got an offer from Georgia. Auburn was on this cat.
Yeah,
more than anybody. Marcus Davis was on him all his junior year, so Auburn's got the end there. Cam Coleman being on campus with Auburn, I think, gives Auburn the edge there for Dalen Upshaw. I think likely to get Dalen Upshaw right now. I think likely to get Derek Smith right now. Caleb Cunningham.
That's a fight because you're going to have to battle. Mississippi State is in there deep on that one. I mean, I don't think. Maybe the casual fan understands how competitive Mississippi State is. Ole Miss will be tough. I think Lane Kiffin has prioritized him, and then there will be other schools that come in. I mean, he's a 5-star for a reason, so that's not going to be an easy battle by any means. I do think that Hugh Freeze and Derek Nix give you they get you in there, but then what happens throughout the course of this season, that's what I don't know.
And I think Kid Country, Edward was talking about Derek Smith in his Florida State. Is it Florida State or Florida?
Florida State.
Florida State. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think his mom, his late mother was a big Florida State fan.
There's a connection there in some way that would make you believe that Florida State's going to have a say in what Derek Smith does.
And I would trust that. No, for sure.
But having said that, everything we've heard and I am feeling lots of confidence coming from Auburn right now with Derek Smith. Maybe an Auburn, Florida State, Alabama battle there. Okay. Might be those three sort of standing out.
Let's see. Tiger Mac, transfer portal question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think Hugh Freeze ranks this year's portal success? Well, I don't want to speak for Hugh, but I'll give you mine.
How do we think he ranks it?
Yeah.
How do we? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah.
Like, does he think he did a good job?
He did a great job.
Yeah, let's rank it how we would rank it, not what Hugh Freeze. Like, let's not try to speak for him.
I don't want to speak for him. I don't know.
I agree.
1 to 10. I mean, if 7's a C and 8's a B, I would say I personally.
At this point, I give it a 6.
A D.
Yeah, maybe a C minus.
I give it a C because I think you hit some needs. Like, you needed a left tackle, got that, and with SEC starting experience. You needed a safety. You got that. You needed a linebacker to be able to rotate in. And you got one that's got Power 5 snaps underneath his belt and starts. So I think a C. I think you hit some needs. I just don't think you got enough of what you needed on the defensive line for me to feel comfortable about it.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest thing to me is you didn't get the edge in the defensive line the way you needed it. But other than that, you got Antonio Kite, defensive back.
Sure.
You hit some needs for sure. You just didn't get all of them.
You got Percy Lewis. You got Jaron Thompson. Let's don't forget about that dude. Jaron Thompson and Antonio Kite, the defensive backs, really good. Sam Jackson, we don't really know. Yeah, he played well against Auburn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
He did.
Rico Walker was a great get. Gage Keys was a great get. Trill Carter was a great get.
Robert Lewis.
Dorian Mousy. So I'll give him a C. I'll give him a C.
I think C's right.
So I'll give him a 7.
After watching Percy Lewis intently, and I did a film study on the board of him and graded him, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good about that one. That's
okay.
That one seems pretty good. Jaron Thompson.
That's the one you got to hit on too, right?
Yeah, you got to. And Jaron Thompson, hard not to feel good about that one.
Yeah, given experience. Yeah, absolutely.
It's when you get into the Antonio Kites and the Rico Walkers and Sam Jacksons, just so unknown.
Yeah,
you just don't know. I mean, they're good. They're good athletes. You don't know how good of football players they're going to be. And then your D linemen, I think, are solid. I don't think they're game changers. I think Gage Keys has a lot of potential, and I like his potential. And then Trill Carter, I think he's just a good, interior nose guy that can maybe a blue collar type guy. I think he's okay. They're not jumping out at me. That's the thing.
No, I think he replaces the kid from Lawrence Johnson from last year. Like I think he is what Lawrence Johnson was, which is good. You had to have a rotational piece. You got one. You just needed to get 2 more, or a superstar or something. You know what I mean? Like that. That's the deal to me. Is I liked what you took from a quantity perspective. From a quality perspective, I just don't think you got enough quantity for some of the needs that you had.
The 2 guys that really stood out to me that you could say Auburn missed on or didn't land, whatever you want to call it, Isaiah Rakes and the Durajai guy. I thought those 2 right there were going to help you a lot. And I think Carter and Keys can. I just think you need all 4.
No, I agree, man. I'm with you. And or you needed to get Joey Slackman that went to Florida. Deron Herman, is that how you say his name? Is it?
Harmon? Yeah, Derek Harmon. Yeah,
Derek Harmon, who went back to Michigan State. You land any one of those guys to go along with those 2, you feel much better about where you stand. But you just didn't, for whatever reason, you weren't able to get that done, and I do think that hurts you. And then I agree on the edge part of it too, Cole. I know what they promised the young man. I just don't know how you can go into this next season without having another edge on the roster.
Yeah, just injuries. I mean, what if Jalen McLeod goes down? You're in trouble. You got to have more for that reason.
Let's see. I like this next question, and it's about Auburn's newest recruiting hire off the field. A little general manager, a GM of player personnel, Will Redmond. They hired away from LSU. Welders AU wants to know, what immediate impact do you think the addition of Will Redmond will have at Auburn? Will we see a different approach and more success in the transfer portal than the spring window? Jhead, you're a big fan of Will Redmond?
I am a fan of Will Redmond, and I want to hear your and Cole's perspective as well. But I think where he's going to contribute, where you're going to see it first and foremost, is organization about who they're going to go see in the road during the spring eval period. I think that's first. And then secondly, the advanced scouting portion of the spring portal. That is where you're going to see an impact be made as far as making an assessment of who you think is going to be in the portal and then how quickly they act upon that, trying to establish contact and get that person on campus. I think they did an okay job with establishing contact in the fall portal window, or the winter portal window, I think is what you would call it.
Yeah.
I just don't think they necessarily prioritize getting kids to campus first. I think they did with some, not with all. And unfortunately, the way this game works, you want to be first. If you're sweating it, if you're not the first visit. And Auburn paid for that. Unfortunately, you saw, I think Vic Carmona went to Arkansas because we couldn't get him on campus first. You saw another young man, Vinny Scurry, go to Texas Tech because you couldn't get him on campus. The Slackman kid went to Florida. So there were multiple kids that you had a shot at, just didn't get them on campus and weren't able to close. So I think the identification of portal targets, how quickly you prioritize, how quickly you get them on campus, I think there's going to be some organization there to that. And I think he's got a Rolodex of contacts to kind of help you from being exposed in the LSU footprint. And, some of the kids that they've recruited, part of transfer portal recruiting is having that Rolodex and knowing kids that you've already recruited. And I think that hurt this staff some. I mean, I think a lot of A.K. Magula, but you think coming from Liberty, he's not exposed to as many P5 players, as this young man has working at LSU the past 2 years, with the guys that you've run across in just 2 different recruiting cycles. So I think it's going to help him from that standpoint, from an organization standpoint, the pre-portaling aspect. And I think he's also going to be part of when this happens, because obviously right now, OTV is the only person that can technically discuss an NIL deal with a prospect. If the current president of the NCAA gets his wish and they create this whole other spinoff football division, eventually they're going to bring NIL in-house, and then teams are going to be negotiating their own NIL deals. You'll need somebody like Will Redmond, your general manager, to help you place those numbers to make sure you're putting adequate value and that you're not overspending what you don't have to spend. So I think that's the evolution of the general manager's business side of it. But on the front end, it's going to be the scouting, evaluation, organization, and just making sure that this staff is running at an all-time and, at an optimum level.
Now, Jhead, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm going to find. I've been doing some research. Did it today, as a matter of fact, trying to look into exactly what we can expect from him and his position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hold off, but I hope to have more on him soon.
Good.
Okay. Let's see. Cole, did you want to finish?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jhead, one of the youngins on our board is going to be like, "What's a Rolodex?"
It's what my dad said on his desk, baby.
NSHX Aub with Durkin official.
Yep.
What do you think will change with our defensive recruiting philosophy moving forward? Types of players we target, numbers at certain positions, etc. Do you think this would be more of what kind of scheme he's going to run? Do they need more nickels? Do they need more edges? Do they need more, fives? Do they need more nose? Is he going to be a multiple front guy? If so, does he need this more guy? This many more versatile linemen that could. I guess that's what when I hear defensive philosophy. What is he looking for? What does he need in his defense? Maybe that was different than Ron Roberts.
Well, I think there's going to be a need for more edges, personally.
Yeah.
And on the breakdown I did of his defense, I wanted to make a big emphasis on the 2 guys that were basically the, jack of all trades, which were Fadil Diggs and LT Overton. Both have transferred out of A&M, but those guys in his defense were everywhere. They'd be hand on the ground as an end. They'd be stand-up edge rusher. They'd be split out on a slot receiver. One of them even lined up at Mike linebacker one time. So I think he's looking for that kind of guy, which I think he has in maybe a Jamonte Waller or a Joe Phillips, Jalen McLeod. But I think there needs to be more than, there needs to be options there, if that makes sense. And I don't know if there's a lot of that right now.
No, I would agree. And one thing that I did notice that DJ did specifically on heavy passing downs, he loved to run a rabbits package out there where you had 2 pass rushers on the field. Yeah. I don't know if we've got guys that can necessarily do that the way they want to, because he would love to play 4-2-5 and just get after your ass with 2 speed rushers off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think you're going to have to play more odd front just because of the personnel we have. Now, what can he do in the portal to offset that? I don't know. I think as limited as the spring portal can be sometimes, I think we're going to take the best players you can get on defensive line, and then you'll figure out what your scheme is going to be off of that, just because I don't like the number of bodies that we have in that room. So depending on what you can get, they'll probably – I mean, they're going to have a base scheme, but when they get into fall, they'll have a better picture of what they have, and they'll kind of curtail certain things within the philosophy to mesh up with what from a personnel standpoint.
All right, let's see. Welders is back. He's very inquisitive tonight. We love these kind of guys. Who is more likely to commit to Auburn, Eric Winters or Jaden Perlotti? Is there a chance for both of them to land at Auburn? I think there's a chance to land of both of them landing at Auburn. I think the most likely chance or the higher chance would be with Eric Winters. If I haven't already, I think, Cole, maybe you've got do you have a prediction in?
Yeah.
I think that's a safe bet. I'd be surprised if he ends up anywhere but Auburn. Perlotti, Cole thinks there's a good chance, and I do too. I just don't. He's just one of those guys that I feel like is going to drag you along, and then sign with Georgia. And I always think back to last year's Big Cat. You know, he was like, I'm going wherever KJ's going. And at the time, KJ was there on campus with Auburn, and we're going, damn, okay, maybe this is a sign that Auburn's about to get KJ. Of course, he didn't. He committed to Florida State. Then he signed with Georgia. Perlotti's committed to Georgia. So I think personally, Eric Winters is Auburn's to lose, and I think Jaden Perlotti is Georgia's to lose.
And I will say this. I think if you're Auburn, you got to get Eric Winters because Georgia's pressing on him too. You've got to, I think you're going to recruit Perlotti a little bit. Say you only have one slot for a wheel linebacker in this class. Well, you're going to still pursue Perlotti even if you like Winters, because you're trying to make them eat up some time recruiting Perlotti still. You got to play the game a little bit sometimes. I think they would love to take both. I mean, judging from what little bit I know, and Cole, I think you're more well-read on this situation than anybody. I think they would take both if they could get them. I think that's going to be really tough, and I think they're two very similar players, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's see. Let's hit some how about yous, then we'll end it. Great questions though, man. I tell you what, that was some really 15. That was really good questions. We appreciate everybody jumping in there on the corner of the message board and asking us, giving us something to talk about this week. Fantastic stuff. I got some how about yous this week. I didn't think I would because I've been away. I wasn't going to come back. What's today? Yeah, I was gonna come back February 1st. I just couldn't stay away. But let's see. Does anybody have?
I have two.
Because I have enough for everybody.
I have two.
Okay. Shoot me.
I have got BM Harp.
Okay.
He keeps me. I mean, there's too many good ones to even note on him. Like he's hilarious all the time. And then Wile Coyote.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like a Wiley.
I do too.
I like BM Harp.
I do too. Hilarious. And I think he's trying to maybe get into the coaching world a little bit.
Okay.
On that note, I'm going to say Coochie Rabbit liked his interaction with Cole in the thread.
I should have given him. You go ahead and make that times two.
Okay.
He was my buddy in that thread now.
Times three. He's on my list too. Oh, Coochie. Love me some Coochie.
Hamilton WDE.
Good one.
And all the meat for free.
Okay.
He gets one from me today.
He clarified his name and how to pronounce it, by the way. Did y'all see that?
No,
He's a big Grateful Dead fan.
Okay.
And Fish. Are you familiar with these bands?
No,
I'm a little bit.
That makes much more sense now.
Apparently, Althea is part of a Grateful Dead song. And then Fee is a Fish song, Fee. So it's Althea Met Fee. That's what it is.
Oh.
Met Fee.
But I kind of like all the meat for free.
All the meat for free is so much better.
I completely agree.
As I said, that was my slogan in college. I don't think Jessica's listening. All right, let's see here. I got a how about you to C Rob 90.
Mm-hmm.
How about you to ZB, the letter Z, the letter B? How about you to Tiger Freak 10? How about you to Scuff? I love that name, Scuff.
Yeah.
How about you to WDE 71? How about you to B-Die?
Yeah, I like
B-Die. Oh, B-Die. How about you to Coochie? That's a hat trick for Coochie tonight.
a hat trick.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, triple threat. You know what I mean?
Hey.
How about you to Auburn ABQ, not BBQ, but ABQ? How about you to Auburn ABQ? I think he had come back to the board and had dealt with something in life, and he was thanking everybody.
Yeah.
And wanted to give him a big how about you? How about you to you big Auburn ABQ? And then how about you to Rusty at Sportsman's Deer Processing? Took my buck to Sportsman's on Highway 331 below Montgomery. These guys are fantastic, dude.
Oh yeah, man, that's the place.
Yes.
Is it in Pine Level?
Probably.
Are you talking about just over on the other side of the country mall there?
Yeah, over there by Sykes and Con.
Yeah.
It's either before or after Sykes and Cons. I think it's closer to Montgomery. I think
That's
it's on the Montgomery side. It's on right there on the right going south.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Pine Level. I think that's where.
Okay, that sounds right. But Rusty was he came out there. He's a big fan of the show. So how about you to Rusty Sport? You know that's where. Hey Cole, I've got you some sausage patties coming.
Oh,
I got you some breakfast sausage, and I've got you some summer sausage. I got you a pound of each of those just for you. All jalapeno and cheddar infused. Man, their breakfast sausage is so good. Oh,
hey, give me a how about you to Jeffrey Lee?
I see you on that one.
And then how about you to Barnes Hard, who got him a 7-point Monday afternoon. I was with him, and I probably would have let it walk, but nah, just kidding. I would have unloaded on that thing. But I want to give him how about you because he got a 7, and then the next night I got an 8. Nah, he's probably feeling a little down, right?
Yeah.
The beach is that way. So good stuff, man. How about you to all those folks? And we appreciate everybody. I know we appreciate everybody supporting the site. We had a bunch of people come in defense of us. Well, I think it was Wednesday morning. Some dude was, "Oh, you censor too much," and they were like, "No, take off, big dog." So we appreciate everybody. Love everybody. We appreciate it. Y'all stay tuned to Auburn Live this weekend. We're gonna have some recruiting coming out on Saturday, and then the dead period is going to hit in February. Spring practice will be upon us before we know it. Visits will resume in March. And, of course, all four, Zach's in the back somewhere. We'll be back Sunday night for the call-in show. One more time for HelloFresh. We love HelloFresh. Appreciate them sponsoring the show. Go to Auburn, HelloFresh.com/Auburn Live free. Get that free breakfast. Use that promo code Auburn Live free. That's going to do it today, folks. Like I said, we'll be back Sunday night. And look for all the calls, comments, and questions. That'll do it. For Cole, for Jhead, for Zach in the back who never came to the front, I'm Jeffrey Lee. Y'all stay at that left lane. See ya.